isolation fundamentally goes against how we as people function. Human beings are communicational by their very nature, so to be stripped of that ability completely can be damning. However, despite this, there are communities built within isolation. This is usually due to the hostile nature of these environments in questions. I'm talking tundras, deserts, jungles, places that seem uninhabitable, yet despite this, life finds a way. Deep in the furthest corners of Siberia lies Verkhoyansk, a place of freezing and scalding temperatures, a place where the sun rises at 11 a.m. and sets at 5 p.m., a place with temperatures comparable to Mars and constantly shrouded in fog. By all accounts, it seems unlivable. In this video, we will tell the story of Verkhoyansk. We will discuss its history and how it was founded, as well as chronicle how it got to the present day and what it is like to live there now. Despite how unfathomable the living conditions seem, there is a population of people that call this place home.
It's a cold world out there.
In 1638, the city of Verkhoyansk was founded by the Cossacks, who created an ostrog, which was a small fort used for military purposes. This ostrog was named Verkhoyansky, which stood for the town on the upper Yana, due to its location north of the Yana River. It's situated deep in the Republic of Yakutia, which is known for its extreme climate, but even among places here, it stands out. With just how far north it is, the climate of Verkhoyansk can only be described as extreme. During its truly harsh winters, which last from mid-November to early March, the average daily high temperature sits at around negative 12 degrees Fahrenheit, which is obviously perfect for beach going. With that being said, the coldest month of this winter would be January, where the average daily temperatures fall to an astounding negative 41 degrees. However, what's more interesting about the climate of Verkhoyansk is that it looks different than you'd probably expect. I'm sure when you hear about a climate with temperatures that frigid, you'd imagine pounds and pounds of snow pouring down, rendering your view of the distance shallow. But that's actually not what it's like at all. The climate is extremely dry, with an average of 7 inches of precipitation a year. It's not very windy at all either, with an average wind speed of about 5 miles per hour. So while it is life-threateningly cold, there's almost a sense of silence out there while this is happening. Starting roughly around mid-December of each year, the sun sets and does not come up for about 2 entire weeks. So during this time, you not only have to survive the weather, but you have to do it in the dark. Due to the horrifyingly frigid nature, Verkhoyansk was actually used as a place of political exile, reportedly between the years of the 1860s to 1917. This was a pretty common occurrence, so much so that there were a number of well-known prisoners sent there, such as the Bolshevik revolutionaries Ivan Babushkin and Viktor Nogin. It's worth noting that I saw in many sources that it was even used for political exile punishments by none other than Joseph Stalin. And while it is true that he enacted these punishments in cities close to it, I didn't find a source confirming that this was the case with Verkhoyansk too. As you can imagine, this type of environment not only can take a severe toll on your physical condition, but it is also really dangerous to your mental state, as we have alluded to. Sitting in a museum, there is a note from 1802 by Pavel T. Shvestov saying,
"I am leaving this place forever, without thoughts, without hope, without work, alone in the dark of night. The snow will cover my footsteps."
Sadly, I'm sure you can figure out what happened to him. In the 18th century, it was discovered that the Republic of Yakutia was incredibly rich in diamonds and other minerals, of course including Verkhoyansk. By the turn of the century, mining them would become common, making it an important part of its economy despite the fact that the actual inhabitants of Verkhoyansk hardly even benefit from it. On January 15, 1885, Verkhoyansk would reach its coldest temperature it has ever recorded so far, negative 90 degrees. This record is tied with Omiakon as being the coldest temperature ever recorded that humans live on. However, what's interesting is that there is actually a massive dispute regarding the respective tide temperatures for these two places. You see, of these two freezing places, Omiakon is the one that has gotten the bulk of the credit for this record. The main reason I have seen for this is that the thermometer used during Verkhoyansk's record is said to have been possibly untrustworthy, which could have barely swayed the temperature, while I've seen other sources state that
free-thinking businessmen at the Ministry of Tourism simply dreamed up Omiakon's claim to be the world's cold pole.
Yeah, it's a pretty heated debate, as I said. While it's as a result a bit muddy as to which place truly got colder, Oymyakon nonetheless has benefited a lot more from tourism. They have hotels, museums, and something more noteworthy, a road that actually connects to the city. Verkhoyansk has no such road. During the summer months, the only way to even reach Verkhoyansk is by helicopter. During the winter, travel is possible due to the Yana River being frozen over, but it's also so cold that travel then is nearly impossible too. And speaking of summer, there's Verkhoyansk weather during this time too, which might be even more peculiar than anything else so far. Believe it or not, in the heat of the summer for Verkhoyansk, temperatures of 80+ degrees are not uncommon. Shockingly, in 2020, a temperature of 100 degrees Fahrenheit was recorded, an actual mind-blowing statistic when considering how cold it gets just a few months later. As a result of this, the temperature range that year was 200 degrees. So we've talked a lot about the climate of Verkhoyansk. We've talked about its history, how it was founded, and the realization of how tough it was to live there. But what is living there like today?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, today Verkhoyansk has 1,360 residents living there, and life certainly comes with many challenges still. Drinking water is typically delivered from the Yana River in the form of ice from tractors in return for a cash payment. Many of the clothes and attire worn by people living here are made by hand, and the typical ways people make a living here are either as hunters, wood gatherers, or trappers, which is not much different than the original settlers that first came here all these years ago. Food will typically be refrigerated just fine in a basement alone, with many hunters apparently just throwing their catches down there. Verkhoyansk does also have a school, and children will typically walk there, only permitted to stay home if temperatures drop below -67 degrees. In 2006, a video would actually be uploaded to YouTube from Verkhoyansk showing a specific phenomenon that causes major fog at low temperatures. In the description he said,
What happens physically at and below -40 degrees Celsius is that the air can no longer retain any humidity, and any water vapor will instantly sublime and fall down as ice dust. This is the reason for the fog, which is inevitable below -40 wherever there's human activity. This fog consists of ice. This phenomenon will gradually suck out liquid from your body through your lungs, thus making you constantly thirsty and cause coughing. Bronchitis and pneumonia are common among natives and especially children.
For reasons like this, despite all the advancements centuries will give you, there will still always be incredible difficulties in living at a place such as this. As an example, occasionally the ice beneath you may weaken just a bit, which has apparently caused houses to snap into two before. And harkening back to the note written by Pavel T. Shvestov, a former mayor of the city once talked about this subject, mentioning that every winter a few people would pass away by their own hands, describing it in a way that almost seemed like it was sensible. Due to the circumstances, life in Verkhoyansk is simply so foreign to what we experience that it is almost hard to fathom, of course being attributed to the location and climate of the place in question. But sometimes, due to this as well, things occur that are truly unexplainable. In 2012, it was reported that a super pack of wolves had suddenly began attacking the city. Many people there were claiming that this super pack featured approximately 400 wolves, which, to put things in perspective, the average wolf pack size is around 10 to 30. This super pack killed 313 horses and over 16,000 reindeer that year, which caused a legitimate emergency for the residents in the city. As a result, a team and a bounty had to be set up to catch these wolves and bring their skin to officials. After the story went viral, people began questioning the validity of these claims. Were there really 400 wolves in a pack? That sounds impossible, right? Well, truthfully, there wasn't anyone that physically saw 400 different wolves to count, but the fact remains that 16,000 reindeer and 400 horses did die that year, proving that the number definitely was extremely large. There's also the fact that there should be no way this many wolves would even hunt in a group, and beyond that, wolves don't typically hunt for animals this potentially dangerous to them either. To answer these questions, it became believed that these wolf numbers actually came from hundreds of different packs. According to Dr. Valerius Geist, the wolves' usual diet of rabbits were abnormally low, and so they began attacking animals that they do not usually seek. This clearly happened very rapidly, and in huge numbers, causing obvious pandemonium, but it nonetheless was a feasible insight. After some time, the issue began sorting itself out, and nothing this weird regarding any animals, has happened since. For all the troubles and hardships that Verkhoyansk has the potential to bring, there actually has been many residents that have been able to accept where they live, and in many cases showing a great respect for their environment, their ancestors, and spirituality. Really, no quote summarizes this better than the words of the resident Gennady A. Tobakov, a lifelong resident who was interviewed by the New York Times about what it means to live there. When answering, he says,
"We talk about leaving. Everyone always talks about leaving. But where could we go? We have a nice house, it's quiet, and nobody bothers us here. It's really not a bad town once you get to know it."
Another resident named Vivara Kirilina was also described as being content with Verkhoyansk and holding her ancestors' customs and traditions incredibly close. Whenever she adds wood to her stove, she throws a spoonful of butter into the flames to appease the fire god. When visitors arrive, she furtively strokes their clothing with a white horsehair whisk, a Yakutian shamanistic ritual meant to ward off evil spirits.
Gobbling, 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 gobbling.
I suppose the harshest of circumstances has the potential to instill the greatest of perspectives. While many Verkhoyansk residents long to connect with the modern world, many of these same people came to appreciate what it can mean to live there too. Verkhoyansk, a place thought to be unlivable, has laid home to generations of families that have lived full lives and will continue to live full lives. The people who live here have proved the seemingly impossible possible. Life found a way. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like this video and subscribe. If you like the channel, make sure to check out our social medias in the description below. Make sure to stop by our Discord, it really is the best place to chat with us and hang with fellow Debunk enthusiasts. Of course, if you'd like to support the channel a little bit more, please head over to our Patreon Debunk Plus. Only $1 a month and you guys get access to videos early, script PDFs, whatever random stuff we decide to put up, and more. As always, my name is Sep from Debunk File. See you guys next time. Bye.